All right, well, welcome everyone to episode 69.
69, dude.
Yeah, 69. um, of Buns and Burner podcast. Usual suspects, myself, Fred, Dan, and Paul.
What's
And
up,
we are joined
pigs?
today, yes, we are joined today by a special guest, first time here, Peter, and you may know him from his Instagram account, The Metal Vault, where he displays parts of his collection. I think it's the first time we have someone on the show whose collection is probably bigger than mine.
Oh,
He
Peter,
I don't
also
know.
welcome.
started the Church of the Fawns, Arthur Fonzarelli from Happy Days.
Wah, wah.
Oh wait, that was Peter. That was Peter Griffin. Sorry. It's confusing the two.
Not flop.
Oh, yeah, different Peter.
Peter, how's it going?
Going good. Thanks very much for inviting me on to the show. As you know, I've been listening to you guys for over a year now. I think it
I'm so sorry.
is. I try to catch each episode when I can. There's a few I still need to circle back on. It's always good listening to you guys shoot the shit and talk about obscure albums. Some of them I do know. I'm actually thankful that there's people out there that actually know the same shit I do. And I
We're
know
out there
you're friends
sometimes.
from probably longer actually from Instagram.
Yeah, we've been chatting for a while. I think since before I joined this, well, before we started the podcast. I know we've chatted a little while about having you on, and finally able to get this on. So this is a long time coming, I think.
Yeah,
So
yeah, good to be here.
yeah, so you have a collection page very similar to mine. I think you started yours before mine, and one of the earlier accounts I started following. Um, what made you decide to do the same bullshit I'm doing? What was the idea and reason for starting an account, a collection account?
Metal Lord v Metal Lord.
Well, I suppose my story is no different to a lot of people actually. It was lockdown, and I being at home and then starting to work from home, I started to watch different YouTubers talk about their metal collection and different types of albums and stuff like that there that had rare stuff, and I thought, well, I have a lot out there, and it was actually my daughter who suggested that I should go on and start a YouTube channel. And I was like, nah, I'm not going to bother with that. Then I seen Instagram because she has her social media, and up to then, that was something I never really dabbled in. And I seen then actually people were showing their collections there, and I thought, well, you don't need to see my ugly mug, so I can just start showing pictures of my collection. And I think it actually started 4 years ago this month.
Nice.
Well,
Yeah, and then I started posting stuff thinking there were only a few people would probably be interested in that, and then slowly but surely, people started to follow me, and then you start getting private messages, people commenting on what I had in the collection, rare stuff, or people even saying things like, thanks for introducing me to this particular artist, or this band, or this particular album, and it kind of just grew from there.
it's nice when you finally get like a confirmation that people are actually looking at what you post, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Because I
Please look
remember
at me.
Yeah.
when I started mine, I'm like, I'm worried that I'm just posting into a void, and eventually people started commenting, started messaging me, asking me where to find this, where to find that. I'm sure you've had fairly similar experience, and it's funny that your story is almost literally the exact same as mine. During lockdown, I was bored silly and started doing it. Thought of starting a YouTube channel. I'm like, no, I don't want to show my face on the internet because no one needs to see that, and I'm way too lazy. I'll just take pictures and
Yeah, you'll get
upload them
the
on my.
you'll get the occasional thumb in the pic or something.
Yeah.
There I am, Gary. There I am.
So, in terms of your collection, now you've been collecting for a long time. So, when did you get into metal? What sort of bands? Like, tell us how that all started.
Yeah, well, I suppose from music-wise, I think like a lot of young kids in the 80s in Ireland, U2 were, I suppose, one of the first bands I get into. But as for metal, I was lucky I have a big family, so I have older cousins who are into metal and rock, and I suppose they introduced me to the likes of, Bon Jovi, Whitesnake, Skid Row, probably late 80s. Um, and then from then it was like Metallica, Megadeth, that type of thing. And then there used to be a TV show here in the UK called Raw Power. It was on Friday evening, and they showed a Carcass video. It was incarnated solvent abuse, and it was like, right,
It's a
Metallica and
good
all that.
video. He's like playing in a trash bag.
Yeah, yeah, and they're strapping their faces up and stuff like that there. So it was like I was just blown away. It was back in the days where you used to put the VHS cassette in and hold down the record button and then pause when it was like a glam metal band or something came on, and then record again whenever it was something decent.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, but from then it was just downhill into metal, and I think probably like a lot of people who are in the collection, you have that sort of innate sort of instinct where you have to think, right, I need to go and obtain this, and just started building. So um, yeah, I think I got my first cassettes late 80s. I think first CD was actually that Carcass, Necroticism. Bought that in '92, and just kept buying from there. Any money I had, that's what I spent it on music. Yeah, and I think I couldn't even tell you how many I have. I keep telling my wife I have about 3 or 4 thousand. I think I might have maybe six,
Oh, cat's out of the
no,
bag
five
now.
or six. Yeah, and that's like I did collect vinyl. Actually, vinyl back in the early '90s for me was cheaper than a CD. Um,
Oh yeah.
over here anyway. Yeah, it was £8 or £9. It would be for a record. CD was probably about 12 to £15, depending on if it was an import or not. Cassettes as well. Um, and we were lucky here in Ireland as well. It's that there used to be a radio show called The Metal Show that broadcast on a Sunday evening for 2 hours. The first hour being just like singles and stuff like that and interviews. But then the second hour was like their top 20, and it was based on sales from a metal music store in Dublin called the Sound Cellar, which still exists today. Um, and that was all people were buying death metal and black metal. So I was getting exposed to all the Norwegian stuff and the Swedish death metal scene quite early on. Um, so yeah, that's probably my origin story, so to speak.
So when we look at your account, I mean, it's pretty clear that extreme metal takes up a good majority of it. Is that, would you say, your first passion, or what's your take on what you prefer overall?
Oh, I would say yeah, it's definitely metal. I would say like my collections, at least
No, but
75
like death
percent.
metal, thrash metal, or is there a
Oh,
lot
oh,
of like
death metal.
classic
Um,
heavy metal sort of thing?
yeah, I would say probably it's an equal mix between death and black metal.
Hmm.
Um, thrash metal, I sort of went through the phases quite quickly. I discovered thrash metal, but then it was like death metal was just coming out and becoming more popular, and so I was jumping on that. And then, as we all know, that infamous crying um, March issue with about the Norwegian scene, and I was intrigued about that. So then jumped into black metal, and the whole way through I've always liked a bit of doom and death doom. As you can see from my page, I do post quite a bit of doom or doom
Hmm.
adjacent albums. But yeah, pretty wide mixture. And I think in general, like I said, 75% is metal related. I do I have had phases where I would just go down a rabbit hole of different types of genres, so whether it's classical music or jazz or stuff like that.
It's really easy to get lost in rabbit holes of certain types of sounds, right? Like sometimes you just get stuck in that Norwegian sound. Sometimes you want to listen to the more Swedish, the more Brazilian sounds. And that rabbit hole just lasts for days or weeks, and then you're just getting yourself buried in all the different bands you can find.
Oh, absolutely. I think my Instagram like bio is something like posting my collection as randomly as it is organized. And what I tended to do is I'd pick maybe an album and I'd be like, oh, there must be a connection here with maybe another band or another style, and then start posting that for a period until then I just sort of get maybe bored of that and then move on to something else.
Well, I think one fairly large difference in the way I collect and you collect is you not too long ago posted some of your favorite albums of 2024 so far. And I think that was over the course of 5 different posts with 9 albums each. Um, that is a hell of a lot more 2024 releases than I've picked up this year, which probably is under 10 myself. Uh, so do you think you look more for new releases now, or are you still looking for older things that you didn't get a chance to grab before, or do you think you have everything that you wanted from back in those days and they're just moving on and keeping up with what's coming out?
Oh, I would say that pretty early on in my when I getting into metal and collecting, I started to keep books where I'd write down albums or whatever releases I wanted to get. So I still have a lot of them. They're nearly 30 years old. So I still have a sizable portion of that I still want to collect. So I, again, it's probably like phases. So I will go through a phase where I will just dive into new releases and go through the different distros that you usually buy from, listen to stuff, and then maybe go and pick it up. So, like you said, recently I did post a lot of new things, but that's when I find the time to sort of go and do that thing.
Hmm.
But I'm constantly on the lookout to tick off those releases from those books I still have. They're lying around here in my office somewhere, but like I said, there is still a sizable selection that I do want to collect.
So of all the
It
releases
never
from
ends.
24 they've yeah, no, it never ends. And just when you think you've heard everything, something else comes up that you're like, I didn't even know this existed, and it's been around for 30 years.
Well, absolutely.
Of
Even from following from your page, Fred, I would say seems like the Canadian scene, Canadian black metal scene, is probably something I've only touched the surface of. So you're
Mhm.
posting stuff that I've maybe not heard of. So I'll start maybe go to investigate that, and then add that to my want list.
Yeah, and it's easy to post things that I've been familiar with for ages without realizing that people outside of the little Canadian or Toronto bubble may not have heard of them. So, but I mean, even then, there's things that are still surprising me from my local scene that I've never even heard of. I think I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. I picked up a cassette from the band Crucified that I had never heard of the band prior to seeing for sale on a Facebook Marketplace ad, and I drove a couple hours to pick it up just because that's the kind of idiot I am. And it's some cool thrash kind of death hybrid, and but this cassette came out in what 1990, and here we are 34 years later, and I had never even heard of it. And these guys are very very local to me, so if my local scene still surprises me with things I've never heard of, I can only imagine people who see it coming out on our accounts for our own local scenes. But it also has that hilarious kind of dichotomy almost. If you post something that's obscure that people don't know but kind of know, everyone pays attention to it. But if you post something too obscure that no one's ever heard of, everyone ignores it.
Absolutely, I've seen that too. And what Instagram now has added in recent months is that insight. so you can see like
Yes.
how many people are maybe saving your posts.
Hmm.
Which I found quite interesting because I could post stuff and well, it's a gauge for me because sometimes I think it's not obscure, and then the like count might be low, but the save count is quite high. And then I know then that stuff, and that people are scrolling through their phone or whatever, they're not sure what it is, so they don't know if should hit like. But there's those people out there I know who will probably like, that's interesting, and hit save.
Hmm.
I want to check that out later, and then that's usually followed up by like a private message saying, "Oh, a few weeks back you posted X band. Never heard of them before. Checked them out. Really dug them. You know, I've ordered their CD or whatever."
I've always
And
found it interesting to look at those insights and see how many people save it. And I generally find, like you said, that the more unique a release is, the more likely it is to be saved by someone. And I mean, I have access to these insights as well, and ultimately I just ignore them and post whatever the fuck I want. And I'm pretty sure that's what you do as well.
yeah,
But it is interesting to see what picks up because to this day, the most liked post I've made is just Deicide's second album or first album. I think it was first album. And I mean, it's not a particularly special edition. It's just a CD pressing of it, and it just took off. And I don't know. Like everyone's seen that before, so I don't know why that particular one was so popular. But you know, just kind of how it works, I guess.
Damn, I'm not
yeah.
helping your stats at all. I'm just like screenshotting ones to like check out later.
Oh, come on, Paul.
Yeah, me too. I'm doing the same thing. Yeah, like a million screenshots that you'll eventually get to, a million liked videos on YouTube you'll eventually get to.
I just have it in my notes too. I'm like, all right, this album then okay.
Okay, I'll check it out.
I'll
Logo looks cool.
I'll bookmark and save posts now.
Well, I
And then you
did one
go,
of those. I did one of those Q&A things again over the last couple of days, just because it's a way of me to see what people want me to post. Because my collection is organized, but I forget what I've posted in the past, and because at this point I have like what fucking 1,300 posts, if around there, and I don't remember what I've posted. I try not to post the same thing over and over again. I'm sure I've posted some of them a few times, but
Hmm.
one of the questions I got today was if I have any Estonian metal, and not a ton, but I forgot about
it's a
this.
door.
Yeah, forgot about this cool band called Winter Night Overture that I somehow wound up with their demo from '95 and the album demo CDR from 1998 that I haven't listened to in ages. So it's good to pull that out, and I'll probably play that later on, but or post it. I mean, but Peter, how do you decide what you post on there? Is it just random, whatever you feel like you're listening to, or is there some sort of method to your madness? Because there isn't to mine.
No, like I said, it is quite random, but it's so. Like I said, it'd be whatever mood I'm in. If I um, before I started posting all that the new stuff I picked up, um, I was starting to get into a French death, early '90s death thrash mood. So I started posting Crusher, um, bands like I posted Merciless the other day, the
Yes,
debut album from them, Objects of Suffering. Whatever it is.
it's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite French death metal albums. It's so like
Yeah,
almost like a thrashy interpretation of Morbid Angel.
I do prefer the second album a little bit more, just because they're trying something different with it. Plus, the
Most
covers
people do prefer
absolutely
the second album, I
horrendous.
find.
Uh, um,
But one he posted not too long ago that I highly approve of, that's nothing to do with metal, is Floodland from Sisters of Mercy. That is one of my probably top three favorite albums, period, regardless of what genre.
Hey now.
Right? I don't think anyone saw that coming.
Say, have you guys ever heard, speaking of French death metal, you guys ever heard of a band called Dagon?
I mean, I
So
have,
lunacy.
but I've heard of an American one called Dagon. So,
Check out the French one. It's pretty cool.
newer band or older?
1991.
Okay, so
demo.
older.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
so
Oh, you know what? The split that they're on from '92 looks familiar, probably because of Separation being on there.
That has
But
that Putrid Offal band on there.
yeah,
yeah.
no, this is new to me. Worth checking out then.
Yeah, it's good. I wanted to ask you, Peter, actually, we have one of our favorites that we share, the Excrement Scorched EP
Oh
from
yeah, yes.
Finland. Yeah, what can you tell us about that? Because I just I like it a lot. I think everybody who listens to this know I like that a lot.
Yeah, that was. I did post that before, and then I seen you guys cover it. Um, that was an old one. That was one I would have picked up back in the '90s. But um, yeah, it's got the weird cover. It's like I don't know, teeth or something, or bubbles or something coming out of it. Yeah, that's. Yeah, sorry, I'm looking around here to see if I can dig it out. Um,
It's got a cover that I like to call a vortex of flesh, which is always a favorite feature of mine. On like the Necromass album, Abyss Calls Life. On I think one of the newer Hyperdonty album has something similar. The back of Massacres from Beyond has like a swirling vortex of humans caught in like a flesh-like tunnel. I don't know why. I always like that kind of imagery.
you know, it's unfortunately it's buried under piles of CDs here. So.
I actually have that. I just bought that recently too. It wasn't in my collection. I needed it. I don't have a huge collection, but that's just something I needed.
One that I have yet to acquire.
Yeah,
Such a great
the
album.
problem. Yeah, the problem for me is that sometimes it's what I need to do is slow down sometimes and actually just appreciate and listen to stuff properly
Hmm.
instead of trying to always look for the next thing.
Yeah, I get that. I've said before on here that I've started slowing down my purchasing, and rather than just buying new things that are coming out that I feel like I should be listening to, is just buying less, but probably overall spending more on individual items that I've wanted to acquire from the past, whether it's, well, it might be more recent, but just things that I know I'm going to focus on and appreciate more than just getting quantity. Um, and I mean, those quantity of albums can still be high quality, but case in point, everyone who listens to this remembers me talking about dropping a load of money on the Deathspell Omega Moonblood split LP, and that was back in March. We're in August, and I still have that sitting on the stand in my office, and I look at it and feel like I just got it this morning. Like it's that much of a accomplishment feel almost, and it's an approach that I'm appreciating more and more these days, rather, I guess for lack of a better term, staying up to date with everything that's coming out. But in terms of your collection, is there any releases that you missed out on that are haunting you, that you may have held in your hands at a store and said, I'll pick it up later, and never got a chance to to get it?
Um, well, if if you if it comes to regrets, the biggest one I have is probably at this 2004 2005. I gave
Hmm.
away a sizable part of my vinyl collection simply because I didn't own a record player for about 3 or 4 years prior to that.
Oh yeah.
Um, I was buying a house and getting married, so the funds helped out. So I actually gave away um, Mayhem's De Mysterious Dom Satanas original Gatefold vinyl, which
Oh
I
wow.
bought when it came out, the month it came out. So I gave it away, and I thought, right, I'm not gonna buy any more vinyl ever again, and I'm happy with this decision. I'll just stick to CDs. And of course, vinyl makes this whole re-emergence, what, like 10 years ago?
Hmm.
And I still avoided it. I thought, no, CDs are fine. And then my wife bought me a record player at Christmas.
Oh.
And she goes, oh, there, and she bought me some vinyl to go with it. And
Oh
at
no.
that point, I was like, no, I'm going to go on now to Discogs and see, can I reacquire that Mayhem album, knowing full rightly it's probably going to be out of my price range. And yeah, I see it. I seen how much it sells for, and yeah, the regret really sank in then. But it is what it is. You live and learn. That's probably my biggest regret. Um, as for anything I seen and missed out on, you don't have too many record stores around here anymore, unfortunately. So have seen stuff online where I've had the opportunity to buy stuff.
Hmm.
Um, I did see someone who was selling Enslaved's debut on Discogs for £50. That was about 3 years ago, 2 years ago.
Wow. Yeah.
When I thought, well, I'll wait till payday and then I'll pick it up. I do. I have the second one, with it's got the white box,
Yeah.
which came out, I think, later in '94, because I didn't get that album straight away. I actually got Frost first, and then I thought I'd go back and get the CD and got that copy.
Hmm.
But of course, when I log back on the Discogs, it's gone. So something like that wouldn't sit around for too long.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not sure. I think the last time I looked, someone's probably selling it for about €150 or something like that. I don't know.
Oof. Yeah.
So quite a difference, yeah. So I'm starting to think I suppose going back to that other point about, like you're saying about focusing and cherishing stuff that from the past that you really, really want, rather than just buying maybe 10 albums that you're probably not going to listen to that much. New stuff, maybe just sit in the pile. I'm trying to get into the mindset now. If you do have the opportunity, just go for it. Take it.
So now, are you buying up vinyl as well now, or are you just sitting with what you have and just still focusing on CDs?
Still
Because
focusing.
I don't think you've posted any vinyl yet on your page, have you?
The Hibernoid one he posted.
Oh, did you?
Well, yeah. I see. I suppose that's another thing from setting up the page is that I do get a lot of, and I'm sure you're probably the same, Fred. I do get a lot of bands and artists reaching out to me and asking me to check out their album
Mhm.
or thanking me for posting their album.
Yeah.
And I did post that Hibernoid CD a long time ago. And one of the guys from the band reached out to me and he thanked me for it. And he then sent me the reissue of the CD for free and signed it. Got him and a couple of guys to sign it. The
That's
booklet.
cool.
And then just around Christmas time, he then sent me another message saying that the album had been finally released on vinyl, and he was going to send me a copy. So
Damn.
I posted that one. I did post some vinyl I do have left in the collection. That I posted Samael's Ceremony of Opposites. I think I posted Bolt Thrower and Obituary Slowly Read Rot.
Hmm.
I have picked up some stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say with the Hibernoid, it's usually like these women that are looking more of a photo of their body than the record, like celebrating the album.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, I think the guys basically send it out to anyone
Yeah, you got that
who
clickbait.
wants it. Yeah, but I do love that album. That's quite a unique album. I mean, it's a weird blend of like death doom, industrial sort of 4AD
Yes.
kind of
Shoegaze too.
shoegaze. Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say probably just gonna catfish those guys and see if I can get a reissue or something.
Show a little bit of leg. Yeah, the other thing I've found is that when you have a mostly CD page, if you post a record and you don't necessarily show the vinyl on the first post, which I tend not to, people just think it's a digipack. Like, that's just another CD.
Yeah, yeah. That well, if you ever do scroll through my page and you see the final, you'll notice I do keep the record out of the sleeve a bit, just so people know it's final. I'm posting. It's not a CD.
Yeah, I see the Hibernoid now, and I saw I hadn't liked it, so I guess that's one of the ones that just didn't get shown to my feed for whatever reason.
Jerk.
Hey.
Queer.
But funny, going back to a point you made before, Fred, about trying not to post the same thing. I've tried to stick that, and I think I've been quite good at it. I have I have posted some, like I do, like it's now like I see it as a tradition for me. On Halloween, I will post a selection of CDs I've listened to for the day for a playlist, and they seem to be amongst my most popular posts.
Hmm.
Um, so I will post in a batch and then maybe post them maybe an album from that separately, and that's in my head. That's how I want to do it. But recently, I posted Set, you know, the French band,
Yep.
their debut album,
Yep.
and immediately a follower pointed out that I'd already posted that before. So it's good that the people who follow me are keeping me on my toes.
Like, what the hell?
Like, here's the like, but you already did this. Come on.
Yeah, yeah.
I've just given up on that, and if I just try not to post the same band back to back, which is kind of frustrating because when I get a pile of new things, and they're all by the same band, I'll only post one, and then I'm like, oh, I know I have a bunch of CDs here I've never posted before, but all the same band, like Maniac Butcher, I got a few weeks ago, like 6 of them, and I posted one. It's tempting to post them back to back, but I feel like that's gonna be boring for people, so that's all I try to do. Try not to post the same band 2 days in a row.
And what I like about Peter's account is like his posts. It shows like the whole booklet as well, so it like you actually have the physical CD in front of you as you're looking
Mhm.
at it. So I think that's pretty sick. Maybe a little too much work for Freddy.
Oh yeah, I know, I'm way too lazy for that. And Peter's like far above and beyond the nine for that.
Yeah, doing the Lord's work.
I'm like, here's the cover, deal with it.
Yeah, because like even
It's a rare
Discogs-
edition, just believe me.
Yeah, like even Discogs won't even have like the whole booklet. It'll just have like the front and back cover or something.
So you're supposed to buy the
That
book.
I would like to see personally, and if it is something that is rare that maybe people don't have, they can see for themselves what's in the booklet. Because as you say, likes of Discogs wouldn't show you all of that. I felt that I had finally made it when I seen one of my posts, the pictures used for something on Discogs.
On Discord. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me a bit of like those. Forget the channel, but it posts like all those like just Full Metal albums, and then it'll have that the whole booklet just like opening up throughout the listening of it.
I think that's
Oh,
Death
yeah.
Metal Archives.
Yeah, it must be.
Yeah, no, just posting all those photos is way too much work for me, so props to Peter for having the willpower to actually do that. If I get one picture and it's straight, I'm pretty stoked, so I just call it a day.
Oh, sometimes Instagram can fuck you over by duplicating some of the pictures or
Mm.
completely omitting them, which can be frustrating.
Or even like out of order too.
Yeah,
It's been pretty good to me for that. What I mostly get is I start a draft and I write up something about it, and then I back out and save the draft and go back in, and the draft is gone. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I have to write all that again? Which is why most of my write-ups are usually pretty short now, because I'm just like, fuck it, I'm not gonna lose all this.
I know. I like the short write up. I like you're quite succinct. You get to the point. You're in and you're out. I try to keep something similar. Sometimes I tend to talk about how I know how I came across the album or where the album came, you know, where I picked it up or maybe relate back to where something to do in my life or something, or an event or whatever.
Hmm.
Which I don't know.
No, it makes
Might be
sense
interesting.
because when it comes to, like, I'm on your account now. You have 925 posts, and I'm at 1200. When it comes to death metal and black metal, there really only is so much so many words you can use to describe an album, and I find that for me, I'm not particularly creative to begin with. So if I'm trying to describe what an album sounds like ad nauseum, it'll get repetitive really quickly. So I think, or I hope, anyways, that the stories that I tell about how I got an album or what I think of it rather than what it sounds like is more interesting. I could be wrong, but I feel like that's more less repetitive for me to write. So when I got that Crucified demo and I got to write about driving 2 hours to pick it up, to me that was the most interesting write up I've had in a while because it's actually a story, not just this is a thrash band that sounds like X, Y, and Z band.
Absolutely, yeah. And to be fair, I like reading about people's own stories with their collection. Um, I, I'm not a musician, so my vocabulary for describing the stuff I listen to is very limited, and that's why I try not to get too deep into that type of discussion. So yeah, I just stick to how the album relates to me. If it's something I feel strongly about, some days you're just like, I'm just going to post this. Say maybe it's been a busy day or something. Fuck it, I need to listen to some death metal. Here's a good album here. Um, I did do a challenge recently. Um, it was 20 albums that influenced your taste in music.
Oh
And
yeah.
one of my followers made a comment saying, "This is going to be boring. You're not going to have any write up."
Wow.
So yeah, I was like, "Well, just bear with me. Get me through these 20 albums, and I'll be back on track with my usual write up."
I think you tagged me on that, and the reason I didn't do it is because, again, I'm trying not to repost albums, and I'm pretty sure I've already posted most, if not all, of what those top 20 would be. So
Yeah,
I'm like, I should have done it in a story or something. I don't know. But in terms of not being musically oriented, I get that, and you'll probably notice on the podcast when Paul and Dan and whatever guests we have on start talking about drumming techniques and guitar techniques, I just go dead quiet.
well,
That's where Paul should be spicing in my "oh yeah, for sure" kind of quote.
Paul got me there not too long ago. Asked me to talk about the excrement. Um, I didn't really have too much to say on it. I like it. It's death metal.
It's transcendental.
Because that's what I find interesting about listening to you guys is that you know you're describing stuff that I maybe hadn't have picked up on or thought about in some of these old recordings.
Yeah, because I go back on your post and I'm like, oh yeah, we did that one, and like Fall the Leaf, and then like the Excrement, obviously, and then like Mental Home and stuff like that. And then there's ones that you'll post. I think like Fertilizer. I was like, oh man, that's like one that's on the list to cover soon. So like,
Serenity
Okay.
Fades is another great one.
yeah,
Oh yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Even
There's a lot of
Skyforger too. I saw that you posted a bunch of Skyforger. I've really only listened to the first album actually.
Oh really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Sky. I love. Well, the last couple of albums have been good, but not as nowhere near the standard of the early stuff. Um,
Yeah, the early stuff is really weird. It's got a lot of like kind of thrash and heavy metal isms in there. It sort of
yeah,
does remind me of like Graham Lyle's Key in certain moments.
yeah. I actually got to see them live. Um, I think it was on the Thunderforge tour, and
oh well.
for a band like that to play here is quite unheard of. Those small bands that the expense to travel the whole way across Europe to play Ireland. So yeah,
Yeah,
it
that
was a
is
good
pretty cool.
experience. Yeah, I think they were impressed when I told them I had their demo.
Yeah, I saw Mordor on your list too. That was one I liked as well. I forget the name of that their album. Oh, it's called like Prayer
The
to, I think.
Prior
the
to,
Swiss
yeah,
band?
Mordor.
no, Polish one?
I know there's got to be a million Mordors. They're the ones from God, where are they from?
From Mordor.
From S- No, they're from Poland, I think.
Yeah, they're from Poland. Yeah, so they were actually that album I think was originally released on Baron Records, which is obviously the label that released the album we're going to talk about. Um, but the version I got was the Arctic Serenades label, from Norway.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
They did a reissue. Um, I actually got randomly speaking to Tarod, the guy who ran that label,
Oh, cool.
online once, so I did. He actually lived here for a while. He worked in IT. Um, he was sending me over.
Oh, this is that label that did the Harmony split, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Harmony and
So
Groms, who we were just talking about, and some thrash band called Bugs Be Gone.
yeah, I have that.
Yeah.
I think I did. I post that. I
Yeah, I
think
think you
I
did.
posted them all. Yeah. They did Funeral and
Yes.
Suffering.
Tragedies. Suffering is probably my favorite album on that whole label.
Yeah. So I got randomly speaking to Tarod. Um, I bought a can't remember what. I think I might have bought that Bugs Be Gone CD from him. I'm not sure.
I'm gonna have to
But
check
there you
out
go.
Bugs Be Gone.
So in terms of the scene in Ireland, though, not something I'm very familiar with in terms of touring, and I mean, we know bands from Ireland, Virgolak and Spearhead, if I'm not mistaken, too. Um,
Primordial.
Primordial, Cruachan. That first
Yeah.
Cruachan album is one of my favorites. Um, do you get a lot of tours in showing up in Ireland, or is it one of the more forgotten areas?
It's improved a lot in, I would say, maybe the last 15 years, from my experience
Okay.
anyway. Um, so I would say I would say the early to mid 90s was quite poor. We had maybe like, I suppose, the likes of Sepultura played Belfast, um, Slayer, that the likes of that there.
Hmm.
Late 90s, yeah, and you would have got bands like Napalm Death and Cathedral and all were playing. So it was probably more UK based bands would come over. Not as many like American bands. You get the odd European tour from European based bands, but see the likes of black metal and stuff, you would rarely have seen those bands come over. Um, but I think from probably 2005 onwards, I'd say there's been a massive improvement. And I don't know if that's maybe to do with the economy was improving back then, and maybe there's bigger appetite. People spent more money on live music. Promoters then could obviously take the risk and bring those bands across and recoup their money on it. Because I do know some local promoters about 10 years ago were saying about the struggles they had in the early days, in the early 2000s. Like I know a promoter of a guy he runs Distortion Project, a guy called James. I think he said he had to remortgage his house just
Dude.
to stay
Oh
afloat.
wow.
Yeah,
Jeez.
but he was if he went under he's a major promoter for the. So obviously Ireland's split in two. So I'm up in the Northern Ireland. So we're part of the UK. Um, so he would deal with all the bands coming into Northern Ireland mainly, and then there's promoters like in the Republic of Ireland down south. Do like Dublin and Cork would be the main cities. Um, but he had worked alongside them now over the years and bringing bands across. So if you're going to come over to the island, you may as well play a few cities and make it worth your while. But you do still get like the big acts who would just play Dublin. and wouldn't play Belfast, which is a shame. So it means them maybe travelling down to see them and incurring that expense. Um,
How long's the travel
but
there?
well, I mean, compared to you guys, it's nothing really. For me to drive down to Dublin would probably be about 2 hours.
That's still a
But
significant drive. I mean, like that.
And
If the
after
show
the
ends
show,
late, yeah, after the show, if you don't sleep over in town, then like that's a long ass drive.
yeah, and that's what normally happens if I'm going to a show down in Dublin. I'd probably just book a hotel and stay over. Um,
Yeah.
but if it's for me, where I live out in the country, so if it's Belfast, it's handy. I could be in Belfast in like 45 minutes. Maybe. But I was worried about the impact of Brexit um, on tours here,
Hmm.
um, because obviously then there's going to be different like issues with like potentially with visas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But thankfully, it's been the opposite. I would say, see after the lockdown, when the venue started to reopen, we started to see bands playing, you know, 3 or 4, decent bands from the underground come over and play every month. I would say 2022 was quite a busy year for me going to gigs. Um, I suppose there was an element of that was, you know, I didn't want to waste the opportunity before you're probably a bit more blasé about bands coming over, going, I'll maybe see them the next time. And then obviously lockdown happened and you're like, don't take this for granted, you know?
I'm not fucking it up this time.
Yeah. And back in March, we had Emperor play Ireland for the first time.
Oh wow.
So I wasn't going to miss that. So they played Dublin.
So I don't know if you're like if Ireland's like this, but when bands announce a North American tour, half the time I'm like, fuck, because North America apparently doesn't usually involve Canada. But that said, I'm near Toronto, so if a band is going to stop in Canada, there's usually three options: Vancouver, Montreal, or Toronto. So at least I'm lucky in that sense. The rest of the country is basically fucked for tours because we're so big that if you live in any other province, that driving to a show that's in any other province is just going to be 4, 5, 6 hours. When a band announces a European tour, is Ireland usually included on that, or is that when we go, fuck, here we go again?
Well, I would say Ireland, and I would even say include the UK, is generally not seen to be part of Europe sometimes for many of those bands. You see,
Right.
A European tour will be, you'll see Germany, you'll see France, Spain, Italy, Belgium,
They really
probably
mean
a
continental
Central
Europe.
Europe, continental Europe, yeah. So, and there's always you always see the comment, no Irish states, and then I would say even the UK, a band will probably just play London, and that's it. So you have people from
Yeah.
Scotland, having to travel down. It just it depends on the band. I suppose it depends on the promoters really. But like you said, you had the likes of it was a local. It was even sorry. It was like an independent promoter who brought over the likes of Skyforger. Um, it was actually a guy called Marcin McCormick. I don't know if the band Waylander.
Yes.
So he briefly was in that band as the tin whistle player, and he has
Okay.
a label and stuff. And he used to have a magazine here called Metalworks, back in the early 2000s. Um, he would bring over a lot of those bands. He brought over the likes of Obtest. Um,
Oh no way.
got yeah, so got to see them thanks to him. He was
Oh,
bringing
that's
over a
wild.
lot of that Eastern European pagan bands. I'm pretty sure he, I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure he was the one who brought over Nagura Bunchen.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
that those type of bands. So he was financing that all himself, um, just because he wanted to see those bands live himself. In Ireland. So but yeah, generally we're forgotten about.
So what about the local scene then? Is it like I said, I know there's a few bands I can think of off there, but it's not. I can't list off a ton of bands. Is it an active scene, or is it mostly the bands that we've heard of, and that's kind of where it stops?
I think what I've noticed in recent years is um, it is diversifying a lot more. Obviously, you have the likes of you mentioned, Primordial would probably be the biggest band
Right.
here. Um, then you have Kurathon, you mentioned, and then uh, well, for me, Waylander would be quite a big band, but they go back about 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then in recent years, I've noticed that there's been a lot of black metal, really good black metal coming out of like Cork, which is way down at the bottom of Ireland. Um, but yeah, I think it has been. You got Ferkulak, you mentioned before, which is got Dar from Invictus
Mm-hmm.
Productions, his band.
Yeah.
Uh, so I think the Irish scene is quite healthy these days, but there's acts springing up more often. I just got an album in from a band called Luciferian Flame, which has only just come into being in recent times. Black metal band on. It was Laura Sleazy and Stronghold, I think, put out their album. So
Okay. Yeah.
really raw, fierce, pagan black metal. Um, yeah, I think it's looking positive, but it's like more. I think probably modern day, ability to, record stuff and then put it on Bandcamp and get it out there has really helped. Because so back in the day, a lot of those bands would have to maybe save up the money to travel maybe over to England. The recording studio weren't too many around here, so advances in technology has definitely helped the scene. I would say up here in the north, we would have bands probably more into like sludge and doom and that kind of thing, maybe crust.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm trying to think of any major bands from the north. Well, there's a band called Rabbit Bitch of the North. I think they just disbanded recently, but they were probably more like heavy metal.
Oh, that's just my wife. No.
From the
But
wee
yeah, they
lad
put out.
Gimli.
I mean, you have there's another actually a very little band to me, Dratna. I posted, um, I put up a post me wearing the T-shirt. It's a one man band. He's from a town just about 10 miles from me.
Okay.
He's put out about I think it's 3 albums now, cassette only releases, but 3
Oh wow.
Bandcamp. It's that kind of really raw, just sort of old school, sort of like Norwegian black metal style.
Mm-hmm. I'm just going to correct myself for something I said earlier. I think I said that Spearhead was from Ireland. They're not. They're from England. I mistake that because they're on Invictus, who is from Ireland. So
Spearhead kicks butt.
they are good, but they're not Irish.
No, but they got that pinging drum sound on the first album.
Oh, on Deathless? Yeah, that sound is awesome.
Oh yeah.
I never heard
We had
the latest album, Pacifism. That's supposed to be their best from what I've heard, but I haven't actually heard it yet.
we have like Sleater, and well, we had Alter Plagues. They have disbanded.
Pessimism is for cowardice.
Hmm.
Yeah, here it is. Pacifism is cowardice. Yeah, I didn't even know they had this newer album.
I've
Check
heard
this
everyone
out.
saying it's their best one, but
Oh, this isn't a
Ultra.
new album. 2018.
Well, it's their latest album, not a new
Right,
album.
right.
But Altar of Plagues, I've heard they were on Profound Lore, which is a label local to me here in Toronto. Um, I think they're more of a like a post black kind of sound.
Yeah,
That's
it's yeah, it wouldn't be traditional at all.
not too much my thing. That's kind of the thing with Profound Lore. I find that they have a very eclectic roster, and all the bands on there are high quality, but they don't necessarily all align with what I want to hear. So it's for my taste, it's hit and miss in terms of quality. The quality level is always high. It's just I'm the problem.
Well, I would say definitely check out Dratna. I think you would like it.
For everyone out there, how do you spell that?
Okay, Dratna.
There you have it, people. Dratna. Check it out.
Yeah, he does.
Oh,
He does focus on Irish mythology, so there will be words that he may struggle to pronounce because in Irish we just like to add in letters that have no sound at all and no influence on the pronunciation of a word.
yeah. I mean, there's a couple Welsh bands that came out not too long ago, and I'm gonna butcher the pronunciation on these, but Isbridnos
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
Diffod, which were both really good. I liked Isbridnos's uh, debut album was really good. Reminded me a lot of Kruakan with the
Yeah,
instrumentation they have in there, but
I'd say that
no,
Welsh
those.
scene seems to be quite burgeoning at the minute. Anyway, there's quite fertile scene.
Mm. Well, I guess with that we can move on to our selected album. Do you guys want to take like a 5 minute break before we move on to that, or
Yes.
Yeah.
wouldn't mind grabbing some water? The whole
Stay
bowl of popcorn
hydrated.
without any water is a lot to deal with.
Yeah, get those little kernels out of your gums.
Oh no, those are staying until I brush my teeth. There's no way to get those out.
They're just gonna stay there and get infected and stink.
I'm not gonna reach a new low of flossing while we record
Nobody would know, dude.
until you hear like the twang of it. It's like, are you playing bass over there? No, I'm fucking flossing.
All right, I'm gonna take a
All right, cool.
five.
So regroup here in five.
Yeah, cool.
All right, talk soon.
All right, we're back from our break.
Rushing the dog break.
Oh no, the brushing is gonna continue.
Yeah, no break from that.
No, she's got so much coat right now that she needs major brushing. So this is gonna last for the entire.
Save the hair and make me a coat, and then send me the coat.
I could literally make you a pillow with everything I'm gonna get out of her today.
Okay, send it over.
I have no materials to make a pillow, but I can put all the fur in an envelope and send that over.
Sounds good. I'll take it.
He is
Sounds like
a-
a good deal. Good
I'll
deal.
trade you an. I'll trade you another can of oysters.
Just put a pillowcase over the envelope and you'll be good.
I don't know if Peter doesn't know that story. Peter, so when Dan sent me the last Bunsen
Peter.
burner release, the what was it, the Filigaris split?
Yes.
I think it was. Yeah. I get the package and it's heavier than usual. I'm like, what the hell? So there's the CD in there, a package of smoked spicy oysters,
Oh wow.
and a GM sticker.
Oh yeah, I forgot I put that in there too.
Is that
Yeah,
something that
I
get
snuck it by him. I was like, nah, there's no liquids in this package. I
That
hope you
was,
enjoyed your spicy oysters.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
can ask
they're
credit to taste.
they're pretty good.
Yeah, they're good. Your omegas and whatnot.
Yeah. No, you supplied me with a. I should have eaten them while recording. What was I thinking?
I thought you were gonna
Was
keep
I
it in
thinking
the
at all?
keep it in the package with like the snake skin.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a limited
No, that
edition
was
release of the split with oysters.
no. Nobody else got oysters. That was just
Well,
a
so
special little gift for Fred.
it's a one of one.
Yeah.
One edition or one copy of this came with a box of oysters.
Yeah, I used to send people all kinds of stuff. I had little iron crosses I would send, and I would send
Yeah, I
like
still got that.
extra chicken picks. I think Joe still has some, and yeah, you get gifts. We give you gifts with your CDs.
I still have that Iron Cross on my desk. You found those in a dump or something, didn't you?
Scrapyard.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of them.
Got any left?
I only have one left. It's
Beautiful.
gonna go to some lucky boy or girl.
Most likely,
Some-
boy.
Probably.
Some
Right.
man.
Well.
Mango for your boy.
Well, why are we here today? What is the purpose of our recording?
We're boys.
I believe an album was picked. An album picked by Peter. What do we got, Peter?
Who did that?
Yeah, so yeah, I was trying to think of something quirky because I know you guys like to delve into the underground and pick out some quirky type of releases. So I was actually chatting to you, Fred, on Instagram briefly, and I said I think there's something quirky or maybe something black metal. To which Fred, you responded, "Why not get some quirky black metal?" So I thought of Taranis. It was one of the potential picks I was trying to on my shortlist, and it just so happens that the album has been reissued this year on vinyl for the first time.
Yeah, I saw
Um,
that.
Yeah, it's the thing is the label that's the German label, Todd Void, I think it's they're known as.
Hmm.
Um, I went actually to buy the vinyl, so you can get a picture disc, or you can get there's like a wooden box with all these extras with it for about €90, and I had it in my basket, and I was about to pay for it, and it said to ship to where I am, I need to have a minimum order of €150.
Oh God.
I've never seen anything like that. So an album that's been hard to find and out of print for so long, for nearly 30 years, and it's finally being reissued, and they're making it even more difficult for people to pick up and obtain.
Just
So,
cheaper
yeah,
to buy the original.
It's BS, man.
if you can find it, the thing about this album, Faust, originally came out in Baron Records in '94 on cassette,
Hmm.
and then the following year they reissued it on CD. And I think like I was lucky enough to get a copy years ago in early days of eBay, but I think it is quite difficult to come across.
Yeah, those
So
Baron
yeah,
releases are not easy to find and
no,
not cheap.
definitely not. So yeah, I thought well, there's two reasons to pick it: quirky black metal, and it's an album that's recently been reissued. So I thought, what better way to maybe promote that and get it out there, because it's an album I feel that not many people are aware of, and it is quite a unique album in early '90s black metal. Yeah, so that's what did it for me for the pick.
So, what is it about this album that made you pick it? What are your general thoughts on this one? Well, and we'll get to a song in a couple minutes after we've gone through what your reasoning is here.
Yeah, a couple of reasons. One, I've always been fascinated by the story of Faust. So the album itself it's more or less like a concept album based on the story of Mephistopheles and Faust. Um, so it's almost like it's been recorded and written to be almost like a dark opera.
Hmm.
Um, Even if you look at the cover of the album, the picture of the band members, they're in front of a mirror, and at the side of them there's the girl, which I think could be Gretchen from the story of Faust, looking out at a moonlit sky. And for me, that personally, that cover drew me in. Fascinated by it, wanted to hear it. The music itself, I could probably just say, yeah, it's Hellhammer, Celtic Frost worship, Samael influence is quite big on the style. particularly their demo obscurity, if you know that. But I
Yeah.
think with Faust, what they try to do is obviously do something unique and do this concept album and add in different sort of quirks here and there along the way. So it's not a traditional black metal album. Um, yeah, it's like broken into two hymns. The first one's called Waltz Mephistoff, and then the second hymn is Balneum Diaboli. Diaboli. My Latin isn't great, but I believe that means the devil's bath. Um, so yeah, it's quite a unique and interesting album. I don't have too many like that in my collection. So, one worth highlighting.
All right, well, let's get to one of the songs on the album. What is your pick of track to play first? I know they're all kind of considered hymns, but I know they're broken down to at least different tracks. I think they're just numbered
Yeah.
or something. Which section should we listen to?
I do actually like the very first song, the Waltz Mephistoff #1. It's quite a good opener. I do feel that that hymn in particular is probably the strongest side of it. It's probably more traditional. The second hymn, The Devil's Bath, is kind of a bit more experimental.
Okay, so let's start with that one, the very first opening track, and we'll be right back once. Yeah.
right, we're back from our meeting.
Ah, that sucked. I think
Did it suck?
storytelling is the operative word listening to this. It goes through so many different sections and moods and modes that it does carry that storytelling kind of feel. Because the production on this is not particularly heavy, but definitely leaning more into the atmosphere.
It's clear. Everything just needs to be clear, but no, it's not too heavy. Even that chugging slam part kind of comes off as like weirdly light.
Yeah,
And that weird death rock Fields of the Nephilim kind of riff in the middle. It comes out of nowhere, but it does it fits, I guess, in the narrative of what they're telling. But the I think the highlight for me is, and this will be true for most of the album, the vocals. They're just all
Yeah,
over
there's a
the
lot of
place.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. And Peter was pointing out that they have like section vocals for the narrative, so it's like a dialogue going on.
Mhm. And, and that death rock guitar bit, that will resurface later on the album. So it's very
Hmm.
similar to
Hmm.
And a lot of their the riffs that I really like are their ones that have a lot of negative space in it. So they're just do two notes and then they'll stop and then go back and do it like a chug or something. They do that a lot in one of the songs that I like in particular. And yeah, this whole I think vibe of the this whole album is like gothic post punk sort of stuff, and you'll see that especially with how independent the bass and the drums are from what's going on. And I think the vocals are the main time point,
Yeah.
which makes this album narrative and conceptual. And I think maybe they wrote around the arrangements of the vocals because it
Yeah,
seems like
lyrical themes.
yeah, because it seems like each part is separated enough, but and can be played within the same context, but it doesn't seem like they're made right after another. It was like, oh, here's this part, oh, here's the other dialogue counterpoint, and then they have those sections kind of split off. And I think the death rock riff in the song really is telling of that because they'll bring back that same exact part. And I think what was really nice during the like kind of spoken word part was like the bass doing those arpeggios, and then later on you could just hear the like a lead guitar doing those
Yeah.
arpeggios later on too. It's sick.
Yeah, and they got the weird drum beats behind it that sort of don't fit, or they kind of they take the lead on their own. It's weird. It does feel like another one of these sort of like copy, not copy paste, but like add in part here, add in part there to kind of build an atmosphere rather than like, oh yeah, we're in a band and we rehearsed it. It doesn't really have that sort of feel at all. It's more like this is a
Yeah,
concept here.
way more thought out than
Yeah,
just like
exactly.
jamming
Yeah,
an
totally.
album out,
Yeah,
which
I'd
is
never even heard of
refreshing.
these guys before. See that Burzum GameCube uploaded it, but these Zoomers know everything, don't they?
No, I knew these guys from before. I've had I don't have this album. Most of the time I spent with these guys is on the Obscurity demo, which is amazing. I think all told, I prefer the Obscurity to Faust, just because it's, you know me, I like my metal fairly straightforward, and the Faust is a bit more complex. I have to be a bit more in the mood for it. The
What was that last
Obscurity,
part? I think
and
you cut
some of that
out.
sound from Obscurity still carries through on Faust, and Obscurity has just that for an album like Faust to have to be more in the mood for, rather than something like the Obscurity I can just throw on any old time because it's, relatively speaking, more straightforward. Faust is a much more thoughtful album. Obscurity is very much just Hellhammer, Necroschisma, Samael worship for me, and that's something I really like. Faust is it's almost like if you can't listen to the whole album front to back, there's not much point because there's so much narrative going on in that. Listening to like an individual track at a time uh, does the album kind of a disservice because they, like Peter pointed out, that death rock bit comes back later in the album, and that's kind of thematic, I find, because they are telling a story, and it makes sense that it happens in, I guess, in cycles more than anything. So, for me to be able to listen to an album like Faust, I need to be able to devote more time to it. So, just by that nature, I tend not to listen to it as frequently, but having to listen to it for this podcast, leading up to this podcast, has made me appreciate it a lot more than I have in the past, just because I don't own a copy, so obviously I don't spend as much time with it either. So
Yeah, first time hearing this for me too. And it is sort of in that just unique black metal that, especially like the drumming, just stands out to me a lot. And the later tracks where they're doing beats that are like sort of forbidden, you can't do that. It's only blasts and skank beats that you can do, maybe a deep beat here and there. But
You need to leave.
these guys are doing like disco beats and like doing 16 notes on the hi hat with just like a kick on one and snare on three, which is just something refreshing to hear. And it's kind of paradoxical that it's refreshing from like an album from 1994 doing that, and you don't really hear that too much nowadays. And when you do, it kind of sounds too flowery and done in a way that's like, I guess,
Stupid.
forced. Versus like here, it's like a whole atmosphere and it's fitting. And I think
Yes.
the whole like, I put this like akin to the Greek scene just by the atmosphere of like how occult it is, because I think it's more closer to that than like Mortuary Drape and stuff like that. Maybe like the Italian band, what do they call it? Like opera something?
Opera IX,
Is that
yeah.
the-
Yeah.
Oh.
Sort of like that too. Um, but yeah,
Maybe
I think
a Catatonia vibe here and there.
yeah, because they have a lot of guitar leads in here that like really draws me in, and then plus having those unique riffs where it's just like kind of stop starty. It seemed like that was a lot of the dynamic, at least in the guitar playing, that kept me drawn in and interested the whole time, rather than like being one note melodic or one note groovy sort of doom riffs, you know.
Yeah, they keep it subtle with their kind of progress throughout the album, but it works pretty well.
Yeah, I guess I could say with like the Greek scene, it's obviously more heavy metal influenced, but this seems to be more influenced from like the like early Black Sabbath doom fusion of black metal that they're doing here versus a fusion of like black and heavy metal, which the Greek scene was doing a lot of. So I guess
Seems
that's like a
some of
difference.
this seems like some of the simplest Celtic Frost riffs
Yeah,
are like a big part of this too. Like because they go like Celtic Frost will go fast and heavy as this band they sort of don't.
yeah, they'll
You
just
know?
stay in their lane right here.
Yeah.
I
With
love how
that,
it's.
shall we?
I was gonna say I love how it's so
No, Dan.
anomalous from the
Okay.
Polish scene.
Yeah,
Like you listen to anything else from Poland, especially anything that's Temple of Full Moon related, sounds nothing like this. And I mean, obscurity, I guess, kind of fit in already. I mean, you had Xanthotol, which I guess was similar, maybe dark opera, but this is just out there. There is nothing in the Polish scene that, again, I think this sort of dramatic approach would have fit a lot more into the Greek scene. Whether the immediate sound is very, very similar or not is up for debate, but the dramatism,
Theatrics.
Dramatization.
yeah, theatrics. There we go. That's a much better word that actually exists.
yeah. Fred's getting a little geriatric on us.
I don't have my dictionary with me. Leave me alone. Yeah, no, the theatrics feel much more something that I would have expected to hear out of the Greek scene, and just a modern band that I can't say whether or not they took a lot from this album or not, but Cult de Ghoul, the Polish band as well, uh, also have that like old horror kind of story feel and narrative to them, especially on that uh, last, not the last album, but the one whose title starts with Coven. I forget the entire duration or the entire title, but it's like an hour and a half long album that is like broken down to different scenes and stuff like that. That made me think. It made me think a lot of that band.
Mm.
It's a really cool band, by the way. Henbane is a wild album.
I would always, do you know the 1926 silent movie of Faust?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen that? I would always love to like stick this on and try and watch that at the same time, but unfortunately the durations don't align.
I was
Oh,
gonna
that'd be
say,
awesome though.
Yeah, can't you do that with like Pink Floyd and Wizard of Oz or something?
Yeah. I think didn't Camel do that with the Snow Goose? If you read the story, the Snow
That's
Goose
a good
is
album.
the album. Yeah,
Yeah, the Snow
the
Goose.
duration is aligned, so it's the length of time you'll take to read that actual story.
Not
I
us
know there's
dumb
a-
Americans.
There's a DVD out there of the 1920s Nosferatu with Typo Negative as a soundtrack, but I never got a copy, so I don't know if they actually like did a soundtrack to go with that movie, or if they just played Typo Negative songs over.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like the least attractive vampire you can get. That's kind of a weird juxtaposition.
I mean, I'd rather see them on that than on fucking Twilight.
Oh, that or like just even like a Bram Stoker Dracula or something. That'd probably work.
Yeah,
Or
true.
Leslie Nielsen, Dracula Dead and Loving It.
All right, well,
Another band another band that
Oh.
they really met me off is Elastis.
Oh yeah, the other
Oh,
Swiss
yeah.
band, yeah.
The other
The
Swissers.
Just Law.
Yeah, definitely that second album. A
Is
Death
that the
Smile.
lime green one?
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
I love that album.
And that album loves you too.
Hope so.
And Death Smile.
that also see parallels with like mid-era Tiamat, but more interesting. Because it does have that gothic vibe and atmosphere and doomy approach at times, but Wild Honey didn't do a whole lot for me. But this is much more on my lane.
It's just unfortunate. This band seems to be quite obscure. I mean, I've never come across any interviews in any magazines or signs of it back in the day or whatever. I've seen from the label its reissuing the album, they had made reference to the guy who did the cover art. Must have recently passed away because apparently it's dedicated to him.
Oh,
And they did mention that there is a Polish book on the black metal scene that elaborates on what happened to the band. Unfortunately, I tried to track it down, but there's no English version.
Mm.
that'd be really cool to find out. Yeah.
I think
Nope.
if we're gonna listen to another track, it should be the fourth one.
Yeah, that's the one I wanted. It
Yeah,
rocks.
that works for me. Do you know around what time it starts, or?
No, I'm just on this Necroscope playlist, and he has track 4 there.
Oh, okay, hang on.
So
Taranis.
we'll be right back. All right, we're back from listening to the fourth track. So
It's even weirder than the first one.
It's rock and roll.
it's even better.
Yeah, it's kind of better. It trails off in the same way, but it kind of comes back in ways that are more fitting, I think.
Well, I just think like every track has that sort of section where everything drops out except for
Yeah.
like vocals and an instrument,
Mhm.
and then I think the way that they do it in this track is the way they go into it and out of it is more favorable for me.
Yeah.
And
This reminds
then
me of that
Get the end of the
that
scene.
what was that?
Sorry, say that again.
So it's almost like it's replicating the end of a scene, so it's fading out.
Mm-hmm.
It's just getting ready for the next act.
Yeah,
Yeah, like a fade to black.
change your costumes. We're coming out again at 5.
yeah, more theater than a
Then
film.
metal.
Because I think if you thought that was weirder than the first, I think the album gets even weirder
Mm-hmm.
into the second
Yeah.
part, the second hymn.
Yeah, because I think
Yeah.
this track and the fifth track are like the ones that stand out the most to me. I guess would make sense in a story arc too, where it's be like more climatic, and then it definitely resolves with that sort of I don't even know what to call it. It seems like a world music sort of thing at the end.
Tribal drums.
Yeah,
Well, I love that opening riff is just weirdly bluesy. And that you remember in Tiamat on Sumerian Cry in
Yes.
Evil Eyes, where just like randomly pops into that blues.
yes.
I guess Treblinka
didn't-
too, but remind like that was
Venom too.
yeah. No, it just brought me right back to that. But like the rest of the track, especially with those, I don't know if they're acoustic guitars or unplugged guitars. We all know I'm not musically literate, but like it really kind of gave me the same vibes as early Septic Flesh, like Aesoptron or however the hell I pronounce that one.
Unplugged cars.
But I wonder, because the tracks they're called like waltz, you know, and it seems like that first riff was in a 3/4 waltz time. I wonder if they're consciously doing that throughout the rest of the tracks, because I'm usually not
Yes.
too good at identifying time signatures and whatnot, but that one was just so apparent versus like a regular 4/4 beat or something. Because
You guys like Moanin' of Zezbeth, yay?
Yeah.
There's a split that they did with a band I can't pronounce. Do you see what it is? They're called like Oath, Orak, or something like that. The Moanin' of Zezbeth split.
Oh, the Russian band.
06.
They're from Bulgaria.
Oh, six pack.
Yeah, 06 Pock, that one. Ogpok. Yeah, that band. I found them in a fanzine. I don't remember which one. They were being interviewed, and they said that a big influence for them was Iron Claw, who were like a '70s hard rock band, and basically with they're still influenced by shit like Samael, but at the same time they're like being influenced by lesser known like hard rock bands. And that's kind of what that fourth track reminded me of, because there is a lot of like weird bluesy sort of hard rock inflections, and it just reminded me of that. If there is another band that does something like, ooh, you know who else kind of does shit like that? We briefly mentioned before, Whale from Finland, who are kind of in this occult metal sort of world, but they add a lot of other elements in there, like kind of throwing in death metal stuff and hard rock and like doom metal. It's awesome. If you haven't heard Whale, I think you guys would all like that.
I was gonna say with like a lot of the cult rock, like Black Widow and stuff like that, I can
Yeah.
see that influence being in there, especially for this band.
Yeah, totally.
Just with how occult they are.
Yeah, and Black Widow was really like theatrical too, so that makes total sense. And then maybe even something like the second Coven album.
Yeah.
Yeah, shit like that. Yeah, totally makes sense. And I wouldn't be surprised if like just straight up hard rock was an influence for that song in particular,
Yeah,
because
because a
that one
lot of
kind of kept
the
that narrative going.
yeah, a lot of the riffs, like just the stop starty kind of grooves were so compelling for me.
Yeah, yeah, me too. Lucy's.
Peter, any final comment on this track, or should we move on to the next one?
Peter.
Yeah, no, I like I said, touching upon all the different vocal parts for me. That's it's very interesting for me throughout. It's all the different wheels and groans and that come through as they're telling this, narrating the story, playing out the different parts. But yeah, I think that just to add to what you said about the actual music. Yeah, it's a key part for me listening to those tracks.
It really conveys like uh, the tormented drama that the whole story is trying to tell. The vocals really drive that home on top of the music, giving that gothic horror feeling.
Yeah, and you can hear what he's singing about, which is a rarity in black metal.
Yeah, no, it's always pleasant people to hear what the hell they're saying, and especially when they're trying to tell a story like this, right? Like if it's a concept album, can only go so far if you can't actually hear the words. It's
Just hear
harder
the
to
moans.
decipher. Yeah. All right, well, let's move on to the third track. When I listened to this, I didn't know there was the actual well, not timestamps, but
Track
songs
breaks.
listed at the bottom. So I kind of just gave up in trying to identify which song was which. So I'm open to someone else picking the third song here.
I honestly think the next track's pretty fucking good too. The fifth track.
Works for me.
If
Everyone else on
anyone
board?
else has anything.
Pretty fucking good.
All right, well, we'll continue. Act
It's
5.
22:11, I
We'll
think.
be right back.
thing he said. Swallowed by bugs.
Bugs be gone.
Bug be gone. That's right.
No, man, this is fourth and fifth track are just the drumming just totally takes over the wheel with how you interpret these riffs and the arrangements of the songs, just like the going from these boots and pants beats to these um, I don't know, man. This like this weird tribal drumming for the intro. It's like something you wouldn't expect. And like I said
It's got,
earlier,
it's got that opening that's like Vlad Tepes, like War Funeral March or something.
yeah, and
Mhm.
a lot with or what I was saying earlier, it's like these are like forbidden beats for black metal and just metal in general, but it just makes it so much more interesting rather than the same old beats that you're chained to do.
Yeah. Capricornus beats.
Yeah, and I
Or
think
would you
that
call him Copernicus?
Copernicus, yeah,
Copernicus. Big brain black metal.
and yeah, it was just a lot of
Sorry, what's that, Peter?
That's how I would have pronounced it, Copernicus.
I was trying to remember after practice. I was like,
Hey, Copernicus, why don't you navigate yourself to the back of the line with your shirt and stand there with your feet? No, the drumming really is what makes this just go bizarre, because
Mayonnaise.
that first riff, like I was saying, you said Vlad Tepes. To me, the first thing that came to mind is like mutilation. It's kind of like that
Yeah, some nasty shit.
plaguey sounding stuff, and you're
The
thinking,
plaguey
all right,
plague.
this is gonna go yeah, in eternum. Come on, but the
The fridge is fridge.
then the drumming comes in. You're just like,
Somebody stole the fridge's fridge.
what the fuck is going on?
But I think also the riffs are leaning into that too. I think the drumming takes over, but the guitars are definitely keeping up with that too. Because there's like a weird like pick it up ska riff in there too. Dun, dun,
Pick it up, pick it
dun,
up, pick it
dun,
up.
dun, that he's doing as well. But it's a bit slower and doomier and gloomy, and a cult version of what ska would be.
Yeah,
What
it's
they're
like a
doing there.
dark special song, Little Bitch or something.
Like Vince.
Ooh. He didn't want to go to First Street because it's in LA. Is that my skin round? Where is that?
I'm not comfortable.
I'm not comfortable.
I
I was
said,
like, all right, Nancy.
I was like, they're not gonna eat you inside, Vince.
Very good, sir.
But yeah, what'd you guys think of that track? Is that one that sticks out to you, Peter?
Yeah, like you said, all the different sections of that song, how it keeps changing things up as it goes through the drama of, I believe in the story, this is where um, Mephisto was trying to influence some girl in the story to fall in love with Faust, because he's promised Faust, the world and the woman of his dreams. And it's comes, I think, that, like you touched upon earlier, Fred, about how the vocals convey that emotion and that torment and stuff, and how that the push and pull of the guitars as it's going through that, there are part where it's trying to twist her feelings to fall in love with Faust himself, and just fighting it. There's actually a section of the story where her brother comes back, he's a soldier, and he fights with Faust because he hears about
Little
them
Valentine.
falling in love. Yeah. So I think
Oh,
that's
cool.
quite interesting. There's that kind of tension in that there part of the song. Those guitars are that cool push and pull at the start and the riff.
And it does build tension really well. Like it's a tense track, and it's just a generally tense, foreboding album. Like it's gloomy is the right way of looking at it. It's gloomy and it's dark, and not the. It's a nice change. It's not the usual like satanic darkness. This is more of a, I guess gothic darkness is the only way to really look at it. But it's again, it really makes it feel theatric and like it's a story from front to back, and it really draws you in really well.
Yeah, definitely ritualistic, like I think you guys all have your robes on, right? And the candles lit.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You guys are
my
listening to
furniture's
this?
floating.
My giant basketball shorts on.
Sitting there,
Ritualistic basketball shorts.
Ritual basketball shorts.
It's all right. You don't have to have a dress code for underneath the robe.
Right?
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. What's underneath the robe?
what underneath the robe? There's nothing.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm in my underwear.
God. Just took a swig of water.
Yeah, but then yeah, I think of the story later, or it might even be now, um, where where he damns what's her name, Marguerite or something, damns her to hell, even though she's like trying to like ask for forgiveness.
Mm.
And I think in this track it kind of exemplifies that as well, with just how tense it is. And you're saying, and I didn't even put two and two together that I should be remembering that story more as I listen to this. But in that CD booklet that you have, Peter, does it have the lyrics and the dialogue and all that? Because even on Metal Archives, there isn't any lyrics for this album.
yeah, it's basically it's a bare bones booklet, but in it there's like five sort of like maybe stanzas would probably be, and there's then each one would begin with the different character, and then there'd be lyrics underneath it. So they do in the booklet they do at the section they do refer to as Scarlet. I know in the story it's Gretchen usually. Um, so they're talking about his struggles. Well, Faust is talking about his struggles trying to control it, and he knows he's been. Um, he says he's down in internal torment. He's trying to abstain from the lust.
Mm-hmm.
That obviously Mephisto is obviously turning Scarlet's head to fall in love with him. So yeah, there's that, like I said, that tension there, and he's talking about the blood is flowing through his veins into his brow. He's getting these feelings that he struggles with. The whole thing about sin as well comes into play, and that sort of internal struggle he's having.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when black metal was smart.
It's too bad that the lyrics aren't in there, but at least some of the vocals are audible, or decipherable rather. So even if you can't read the lyrics line by line, you can gather some of it through what they say, which almost makes it a little bit more mysterious in a sense, I guess. But at least we know the general story of Faust, so then we can kind of extrapolate from that.
'Cause that's the thing. Like I said, it's broken into five like sections, so it's not even
Hmm.
like underneath like the song title, like number one, whatever.
Oh, really? It's not even like.
Yeah. So it kick just cut off, and then the next song kicks in, and then you're reading on to the next part of it. It's a natural break.
Oh wow.
Come on, guys.
Yeah, this could be
Get,
nice.
get your shit together.
Yeah, repost this CD on my page, because I think this was maybe one of the earlier ones I posted, and
Yeah, I don't remember seeing it, so it must have been a while ago.
yeah, I think it has something like 30 likes or something.
Yeah, I think I saw someone's comment. They're like, "No way! How'd you get this?"
Yeah, I posted it again, and then someone like within 3 minutes, someone will be like, "Didn't you post this before?"
Yeah.
It'll be
Yeah.
me.
They're like, "Yeah, you got this. All right."
Now it's been reissued, it's lost its luster. It's like, yeah, big deal.
Yeah, it's a good time to post it with every issue in, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, the reissues an
Good
A5
on
digipack.
for,
Oh, why would they do that?
I think
Yeah,
it's that
A5.
one label that puts like everything like in a coffin.
Oh, A5 digipacks are such a pain in the ass. Looks beautiful, but come on.
Yeah.
It
Because
doesn't
isn't
fit on
this
my
the
shelf.
one? trying to remember if it's the one that like infidel Amsterdam posts like there's like a million of these physical releases that are like made in like wooden coffins.
I think Deceased did a coffin. I don't remember who else did one.
They're all like reissues of shit, so I don't know.
Oh, all right.
But yeah, is there anything else you guys want to play, or do you want to get into our last thoughts about this?
I'm good to move to last thoughts. I don't know about you guys.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't mind. I mean, if you want to do it, I thought the penultimate track might be a bit interesting to play since it is so different. But
Yeah, let's do that. Honestly,
Yeah, we can do that.
which track was that?
so it's the second last one, so number 7. So.
Oh, okay. All right, we'll be right back.
Tu kres poszukiwań. Mam myśl, czarny meteor ściany spotkała doznań. Rzekł konfiteor, bym, lecz dawno już w Bogu posiedział stąd ją. Szukając wiedzy rogów, najdalszej dzbany wypił magii, ale tu w sidła też wpadłem w skończoności. Śmierci, otwórz swe wrota, okaż mi ksztę litości. Niech wiatr połamie życia mego filary srebrne. Skry pozbawią okrycia duszę i oży smutne. Gejzery siarki ciekłej, skąpcie w żarach dymnych. Siedlisko pasji wściekłej, psychę mych sług oddanych. Rzućcie w kły cierpienia, samotnie wypełniając mą krzywdę. Boże, mienia Twego nie znam, Ciebie klnąc wołam o pomstę piekło, by ból pokutnych wzmogło. W górę mnie unieście rumaki odynome, zbiórmy atomów rzućcie, bym zdobił świata osnowę. Ja tajfuną dostojny, chcę być gwiazdą równy, więc przybądźcie do wichry. Tak, tak, niech wyją wiatry, niech wyją wiatry.
All right, we're back from the 7 track.
It's so fucked.
Yeah,
Yeah, how could we not play that one?
I thought
Uh,
we had to play that one because to give people the idea of what the album's like, you know, it's not just all guitars. And you have this weird, I don't know, cultish chant.
yeah.
Bongos just playing slowly.
Well, whoever said this is a like if you fall asleep to it and wake up, this is the song you wake up to, going, "What the fuck is going on in my life right now? Why is my furniture floating?"
This is the one that gives you that sinking little heart attack thing, and you like kind of jump up, your whole body jumps up in bed.
It's like in
Yeah.
like Get Out, where you're like in the what's that place called?
Sunken place.
Yeah.
Canada.
Yes.
Louisiana, actually.
No, that's like a perfect incantation song.
Yeah, it's like
You
Coven
remember,
with the
well,
with
like
the
as
black
an
mask.
incantation, not the death metal band.
Not the band. Not the band, actually.
You guys remember on Typo Negative's Bloody Kisses? There's that one track that's an incantation with and it summons like a monster, and you hear the woman screaming at the end. It's like Fey Ray come out to play something like that.
Favorite.
No, guys, come on.
I don't think I've ever sat through a full Typo Negative album, to be honest.
What?
I don't think I ever have.
Oh, that's disappointing.
They do have stuff like
That album.
kind of vibes like this, don't they? Where they have like weird Marshall Industrial like breaks and things.
Yeah,
Or at least that's
well,
the vibe that they give off.
especially the early stuff, because they came out of Fallout and Carnivore, right? So there was
Yeah.
like a lot going on there, and that first Typo Negative, and I could be wrong, but I thought it was originally meant to be a Carnivore album. So that's why that one's so much more aggressive. But Bloody Kisses, like, they released two versions of it. One is a version with like 12 or 13 tracks, I don't know the exact number. But then they released a streamlined version that cut out all the random stuff they added in. And so it's like, I don't know what the exact track count is, but there's a lot less on that version. And it cuts out all the interesting, weird tracks on there, like the one I mentioned, Fairy Come Out and Play, and some of the other weird things they just like shoved in there. And it's too bad, because that really gives the album so much of its weird flavor. And I guess the... Wow, that's my dog.
Get the door.
And I guess that's the thing with the streamlined version. I guess it's a bit more consistent, because it's all just the Typo Negative song style you're used to, but it misses that personality. Anyways, you guys talk, because my dog is barking.
Woof woof.
Let the dogs
Yeah.
out.
I think it was something mentioned it was almost Marshall industrial sounding. When I was listening to this yesterday in the house, I just turned around to my wife and asked her what did she think of it, and that's exactly the word she used, industrial.
Mm-hmm.
And she's not really into metal at all, but that was what she was taking away from.
You're like,
That
very
section
good,
of the
very
album.
good.
Yeah, Dead Can Dance do a lot of stuff like
Yeah,
that too.
go
I think
for it.
that's maybe where that sound comes from.
It's funny, right? Being married to someone who doesn't listen to metal, and then they start recognizing things like the. She'll recognize Burzum because of clear vocals or identifiable vocals, but someone walked into her into her business once and was wearing a slut vomit shirt, and she just looked at it and goes, "Is that slut vomit?" And the guy's like, yeah." And she's like, "Oh, okay, how can I help you?"
Good band name.
She's like, do you know Black Death Rising? Half of
Yeah,
that's mine.
that's hubby.
Yeah, half of that's mine.
That's funny.
Have you
man.
given her the password to your Discogs? If anything ever happens to you, to sell them at the right value.
She knows where to find it.
That's what I told Fred. I said, I need to get at least some of that collection in it from his will.
Oh, in the will? Oh, God.
I responded to you.
Yeah, I got the Lady Gaga CD waiting for me.
It's gotta go
good.
somewhere.
Oh, thank goodness. I don't know if there's anything in Fred's collection that I need. I would have to look through it. I'll pick my favorites, and then Fred, you can
Yeah, when we
Yeah,
go,
I'll-
sign him over.
yeah,
I'll link you to my Discogs. Let me know.
when we go to Canada, we'll check it out. Make the pilgrimage.
Pilgrimage. The Mecca of metal.
I think that's Peter's collection.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, we're all
I'm,
going to
I'm a shorter flight away though,
Ireland.
so
Yeah, we'll rendezvous in Fred's and then we'll go to Peter's.
funny you talk about it.
There we go.
When
Rendezvous in London, dude.
when I
Dun,
was
dun, dun,
buying
dun,
my
dun,
first
dun,
house,
dun,
um, I was using the solicitors who were representing the vendor, and they said to avoid a conflict of interest, I needed to show I was an existing client, and the easiest way to do that was to create a will with them. So they asked me what did I own, and I says I own thousands of CDs. So I left that to my mother, who absolutely hated, wanted me out of the house to get rid of all the CDs, and she absolutely hates any music or guitars. So um, it's funny because my wife to be at the time was laughing. I says, "Oh," the solicitor turned around and says, "Oh, once you get married, it voids the will, and it'll be yours instead."
She's like, oh goody. Yeah, should we get into our final thoughts on this album?
Do it.
Sure.
Go for it.
Someone else go. I've got screaming over here.
Well, look, so I picked it. Like I said, I just love the cult eerie feel of this album, from, like I said, from the cover right through to the song. They picked a great concept, the cover. It's quite early on in I suppose the development of black metal. It's like we touched upon. It's not really second wave. It's coming through from that Hellhammer influence and filtered through Samael. They've added in those like industrial sort of tinges towards the end, and to keep the album really is almost like three parts. It's going through the story of Faust. It's got the metal, and then eases into those really occultist, eerie parts at the end. Like you touched upon, Fred, almost like an incantation. It's for me, it's quite a unique album in the development of black metal. And it's not something that I've heard too many bands replicate over the years since.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just glad that it is getting that reissue, and maybe other people get to hear it and experience it, and it's a bit more exposure out there in the scene.
Yeah.
All right, Freddie.
Yeah, no, I can go. The as a longtime fan of, I guess, the band, but especially the Obscurity, it really is remarkable how much they changed over the course of like 2 years. Because the Obscurity came out in '92, and this full length came out in '94, with only that one EP in the middle, Moon Silver Mask, to really mark any sort of transition. So it's amazing that the band went from the Obscurity to this in such a short time, and they incorporated so many different things in there together, and also the transition of the atmosphere going from satanic and evil to eerie and gloomy and melancholic gothic into so quickly. It's impressive, and it's very much a standout album in the Polish scene in terms of nothing else really sounding like it. Yeah, no, just a fantastic album. I think overall just a fantastic pick, Peter. Good call on this one.
Cheers.
Paul, go.
All right. Well, this album definitely this weird kind of first wave that is similar to a lot of the Swiss bands like Celtic Frost and Samael and Lassus too. Just sort of fusing these weird proto metal ideas alongside with doom, and filtering it through like a black metal atmosphere, especially with its occult and ritualistic vibes. And I think the main dynamics between the guitars being like melodic and in a stop-starty sort of groove doom rock rhythm is really standing out to me. Of course, there's like the weird Norway bands that pick up on where black metal can go, but they aren't necessarily doing things like this. They're going more into a more progressive direction, where this is kind of sticking more to a like primitive, like hard rock or occult rock music, and being rather simple but effective. And the drumming, of course, is gonna stand out to me, and I think to everyone that listens to this, because there's certain parts where everything drops out, the guitars are starting off the song, and then the weirdest beat you could think of pops up, and it's like just totally disorienting, and then it'll go into a more groove type of beat, but then the more you listen to it as it repeats and comes back, it's like, oh, this guy was doing a totally uh, weird beat that you wouldn't hear on any other sort of black metal record. There's not a single blast on here. There's hardly, I don't think there's even like a thrash skank beat in here. It's just sort of the grooving rock beats, and then some 3-4 odd time signature beats that are more aligned with like pagan metal. But I think they're going even a step beyond that, where it's like you don't even hear those beats in pagan black metal or anywhere other than before that, which would be like the cult rock and hard rock sort of stuff. And the vocals and the whole concept of this album really is what carries it and makes this its focal point. It seems like that was the main igniter to this project, and then they had parts and sections that they had to arrange around that, which is a very hard thing to do. It seems like a lot of concept albums fail to put the music first or make the music interesting enough to convey the message that they want, but they are at equal parts, for me at least, where the music is captivating, and now I want to know even more about the lyrics and the story that they're telling, because it seems like a lot of bands will just have like Faust or like that sort of theme with their music, but not done in a theatrical way like this is, where it's sort of like a more of a play than like a film or something like that. I think it's really innovative, and it makes me want to listen to their earlier demos, because Fred said that it was a bit more primitive, and for them to jump into something like this and then not do anything after, at least with this band, is it's a shame. But I don't know if
Yeah.
they would necessarily top it at all, because this seems to be just peak um, weird like Swiss black metal, because it's like akin to the Mediterranean scene, but it has its own like doomy vibes that, like Verathron, Rotting Christ, Necromantia, they are more influenced from heavy metal, where these guys are more influenced from like the doom occult um, metal that is filtered through black metal here, which is something I don't really hear too often. So a great pick. Thanks, Peter, for showing me this.
Cheers.
Danny boy, you asleep?
Yes. Are you ready for me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Uh, yeah, you kind of touched on this, Paul, where it is sort of progressive, but in a like minimalistic, primitive sort. Progressive, yeah, primitive. I like that vibe. It's really cool. And this is sort of the thinking man's black metal album. It's something you could sit and have a cup of coffee with, which is what I did this morning. Sort of
Yeah.
slow, swaying, experimental sort of vibes there. Um, and I think we touched on this for just a second. The Marshall Industrial thing. It kind of brought something back into my mind. One of those like Marshall Industrial slash, what do you even call that genre? Uh, Neofolk, I guess. Blood Axis, if anybody's ever heard of that group. Really good stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, Blood Axis freaking rules, and yeah, good album. Faust, pretty awesome. And I guess for a final thought, unrelated, Vince's movie pick actually turned out to be really good. Time Masters. It's the same guy who did Fantastic Planet. If people remember that, it was kind of like a psychedelic prog rock adjacent type of movie that I just happened to catch when I was a kid on TV. But yeah, Time Masters. Check it out. Rent it on Amazon. It's worth it, dude. It's in French, but whatever. And that's it for me, babes.
So random.
They
I'm
close
glad
it.
you guys like this one, this pick. Wasn't too sure how you would take it because it is, like you say, thinking man's black metal, theatrical black metal.
Hey, it
Yeah,
can't
we're
be
no- we're
worse.
no
It can't be worse than
ignoramuses.
it can't be worse than the lullaby.
Mm-hmm.
It's got similar vibes, doesn't it?
In at times, but this is
Yeah.
more. What's the word I'm looking for?
This is more better.
Accomplished. I like
Perfect.
lullaby. Leave me alone.
Beautifully said.
All right, thanks Peter for coming on and meeting the man behind the collection, and it's bigger than Fred's, so we'll leave it at that.
Very much. Very
Thank you, Fred, for making all kinds of noise in the background with the dogs and the everything.
You still talking about the collection there, Paul? I don't know.
Yes, let's not get too raunchy here.
It's Saturday afternoon, man. Come on.
It's a Saturday afternoon.
It's got to be PG-13.
True.
Cool. Well, that was great.
Yeah, I'm glad I've appeared on such an iconic episode number.
No, 69.
69. 69, dude.
We behaved, huh?
Yeah. All right. Well, Peter, we'll let you get
riddance.
along with your night. I'll get on in the afternoon, and Dan and Paul are just waking up. So
Now we got imprecation later. Gotta rest.
Paul, what are we doing next week here?
I'll let you know.
Okie dokie.
sounds good.